few minutes. Tomorrow, Los Angeles will be one of about 9 major cities expected to be targeted by ICE agents as they carry out those immigration raids under the orders of President Trump.
Now, this comes after a 2-week delay ordered by the administration. And joining us now, John Fenoglio, to talk with Tessie Borden from Coalition for Humane Immigrants' Rights. So welcome.
Well, thanks, guys. Of course, this is such an emotional issue for so many people, including those families who are concerned they may be separated during these immigration raids. So, Tessie, let's get right into it. Talk about what you understand is going to happen tomorrow and how your organization is preparing for it.
Well, we have already been seeing some arrests, and we have networks that we work with on a regular basis, so they know what normal activity is and when there are spikes. And what we're seeing is there are increased arrests. There were even some after the June announcement, the announcement 2 weeks ago.
ICE roundups are nothing new in Southern California and elsewhere, but we've known about these raids for quite some time now. Exactly who is being targeted in these raids?
Well, the Trump administration is saying that they're going after people with final orders of deportation, but final may not always necessarily mean final. When people talk about final orders of deportation, there is still an appeals process that they can go through. And depending upon the case, there may be other kinds of relief. So what we're telling people is to consult an attorney, a fully licensed attorney, not an immigration consultant, so that they can see what other things they can do.
And we know people are scared. What should people do if they are approached by ICE agents?
Well, if they're in their home and ICE comes knocking at the door, we tell them not to open the door under any circumstances. If the ICE folks have a warrant, they can then slip it under the door. We ask them to take a photograph of it, and we tell them not to open the door, because once that happens, then that's almost like an invitation for them to come in and grab anyone that's in there.
Tess, obviously there's a lot of fear on the streets, but last night I was over at your organization last night. You seem to be empowering people now to stand up and realize that they have rights in these situations. How is that being accepted by the immigrant population?
Well, we've had actually some people, some calls where people have told us that ICE agents came to their door. And they knocked on the door, they didn't open the door, they knew what to do, and ICE eventually went away.
We know that the ACLU has filed a lawsuit to try and stop these deportations, the ACLU along with other advocacy organizations, but can you talk about what they are suing for? I mean, if you are an undocumented person who's entered this country illegally, shouldn't U.S. officials be allowed to deport you?
Well, everybody in this country, including people without status, has a right to due process. And what we're very concerned about, especially with the Trump administration, is that due process is not being followed. So we are here to make sure that the government follows its own rules about how to treat these folks.
And talk about what people can do if they see an ICE raid happening. Better put, what should they do?
Well, I mean, if they are in a safe distance, but they can still see what's happening, we urge them to document it. We urge them to send it to the ACLU or some of the other organizations so that we can also keep our community informed.
We know that people have been protesting in cities across the country, millions of people, not only these ICE raids, but President Trump's hardline position on immigration. Do you think that these demonstrations are effective?
Well, the one that I was at yesterday in downtown LA was very helpful to everyone, because it was like community under construction. A lot of people who have not been part of the movement joined us, and they were very concerned about, you know, what's happening in our country. So those actions are they're almost like an introduction into what else they can do. And what else they can do, there's advocacy. They can call their Congress members, they can let them know that they don't think that this should be happening.
All right, well, Tessie, thank you. We know you guys are busy this week, and we appreciate your time. For more information on what you can do, or if you have questions about citizenship, immigration, CHRLA has a national assistance hotline. You should see that number on your screen now. And for more resources, you can visit CHRLA.org, CHIRLA.org. Tess, thanks.
Tess,
Thank
thank
you very
you for
much.
coming in. Appreciate it.
Well, new at 5.